or 4 along with the other thing for free.
It's a more convenient mini Kun as well, because you can play the card after you played the other cards, whereas it always has to be played first. Obviously, you can play Ultimate Infestation and then Arcane Tyrant. You can't do that with Kun.
Another thing that's quite unusual about HelloLeeroy's deck is that usually in the Oaken Summons version, you generally cut the Wraths.
Right, we were saying about that in the first match. We don't know how he's made all this space yet.
Yeah, maybe he's running like a 32-card deck or something. I'm not sure. Not sure.
Yeah.
Check, Judge.
Long game.
But this hand is looking quite nice for Ben, especially with the Corridor Creeper. Having that in your hand, this is just the best card in the deck, hands down. It punishes your opponent for killing your stuff, which is quite unusual in a mechanic. But oh, and there's a second Corridor Creeper.
So it is going to be about how Ben approaches this board, because Leeroy does have that spreading plague you were talking about, and whether Ben can avoid going overly wide. And these creepers are definitely going to help with that.
Corridor Creepers, check. Patches, not an opening hand, check. Where's Keleseth? Where's Keleseth, people?
It's coming up next to pair along with a Wrath to be mana efficient.
Okay.
So Wild Growth off the top here for Leeroy. Yeah, but I do agree that this has to be dealt with now. He has plenty of time to ramp up. Oh, or he can just go ahead and coin out the Wild Growth now, which kind of forces him into a Nourish next turn, but I don't think he's too unhappy with that, considering he has the second Wrath in hand.
Yeah, he's in no hurry to play the Plague. The Panda can wait as well. She'll be absolutely fine when she comes down. So Nourish into Wrath is absolutely fine against almost every line here.
BigBen has a lot of his very key cards in his hand, but it's kind of awkward because he can't really get on the board as fast as he wants. He's gonna have to go for that strong mid-game board with the Corridor Creepers, and then try to finish it maybe with a Leeroy Shadow Step later on. But here Leeroy has he doesn't have too many options here. He can either Nourish for mana, which doesn't seem too great, or he can just play the 4-drop that he just picked up along with the Spellstone there for just killing off a 2-1. But that doesn't seem that amazing either.
Yeah, it's good that Ben actually put that tempo on the board there, just making a 4-4 Van Cleef, not being too greedy, realizing that by the time it would be big, it would be too late. It was actually put Leeroy in a little awkward spot here for this turn.
And unknowingly for Leeroy, he really wishes, or he thinks he wishes he had a swipe now, but if he swiped, the next turn, double Corridor Creeper would have come down.
Yeah, that would have been a mess. Because
So,
Spreading Plague does nothing.
Yeah, Spreading Plague does nothing, and Spreading Plague, again, it is the key card in this matchup, I believe. If you're not ramping, or if you're not gaining tempo on the board with big Jades, then you will have to use the Spreading Plague to kind of stabilize the board. But potentially, Leeroy is not going to be getting a Spreading Plague anytime soon.
So what he's going to do in the meantime is to make sure he doesn't need the Spreading Plague anytime soon, keep as much off the board as possible. But this turn's where stuff is about to start getting pretty real.
Well, now it becomes a game of how long do you hold on to this Corridor Creeper before you play it? How greedy can you be? Do you just hold on to both of them? Maybe play them both for 0 mana later on? Maybe you have to play one this turn. BigBen doesn't have a plethora of options here.
It's quite funny because the HelloLeeroy, I would say the Leeroy to the face is not the worst thing because you get to trade off the patches. You get to hit one down the dagger, making your Corridor Creepers cheaper, and then you force them to deal with the Leeroy, maybe inefficiently because you've already seen a Wrath.
And it's now going to have to start dealing with something because he is running out of time, and Ben has forced this Spreading Plague at not the greatest of times for Leeroy, but Tyrant's going to do some good work coming down behind all this lot.
It doesn't really look like there's going to be a better time to Spreading Plague at all.
Right.
Patches is the only weak minion we can see on BigBen's side, including in his hand. Everything else just kills a Scarab in one hit. That does.
Just when you think you've done all the damage you need to do, that this Druid deck now can get huge amounts of damage if it gets even a turn or two to stabilize.
Yeah.
Now, Alvin Minshall picked up for Ben. This is one of the cards that I've been quite unsure about. What do you guys think? Do you think it's a very good card? Do you think it's a necessary card?
I think it's very good because of Keleseth in particular. I mean, drawing cards out your deck is obviously a big deal anyway, but because sometimes you've already played Keleseth and you draw
those cards as well.
Cards, I think they're really good.
They're the other two that I was just about to highlight until Ben drew them perfectly on cue. The fact that all of the kind of key tempo rogue tools are actually minion-based now, Spine Slayer, there's your removal. Bone Mare, there's your endgame win condition. Yeah, I think that Elven Minstrel is a very strong card.
You were saying you're not convinced. Is that because they're cluttery or something else?
Yeah, I thought that initially they may be too clunky because a lot of times versus the more aggressive decks, it's really hard to find that time unless it's really late in the game to actually get that off, to get that value, because you need to keep up on board, whereas a 4-mana 3/2 is quite understated.
Yeah, so you're saying that you're wasting a turn on a deck tempo base to collect a load of value, which maybe you don't get to use. That makes a lot of sense. So be worth keeping an eye on that as the meta progresses, because for now it's going to be a staple for the foreseeable future, but definitely worth keeping an eye on, especially when Keleseth maybe isn't. Oh, Keleseth's always going to be played, let's be honest.
Okay, well, it looks like HelloLeeroy is just about stabilized. There is a lot of value from BigBen's hand, but they are all very, very expensive. So he could drop a Bone Mare now, which is probably within his best interest, just because it's hard to play 7 mana cards, even though maybe Wrath and Valspine seem
Yeah, Wrath and
reasonable.
Valspine is the play I'm looking at. He can Wrath the Arcane Tyrant for 1, Valspine the Taunt, maybe push this 5 damage to the face, get himself a little bit closer to that win condition.
See, from where he sat, he's scared of Ultimate Infestation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So from where we're sat, it's looking like Leeroy's actually still got a load of problems to solve. But from where Ben's sat, the next card is Ultimate Infestation 100% of the time. And therefore, he has to be very careful not to leave this 5/5 up with no friends.
I really like this as well. Rather than pushing the face damage, basically whenever you pick up a Shadow Step, you should be able to finish him off, as long as you have the board.
It's 100% of the time.
Oh, on 10. It's like a reverse Patches, you know, like Patches you don't really run on. This is like, oh man, turn 10.
Opponent always has
It's
it.
me.
Reverse Patches.
Yeah, because Patches you don't want to draw on turn 1. Ultimate UI, Ultimate Infestin.
Keleseth is almost
Ultimate
the reverse.
UI.
Ultimate UI.
We spent so long talking about how to refer to that card, because there's so many ways you can do it, and they're all really awkward to say
Yeah.
quickly.
Like, there's no way you're saying Ultimate Infestation 8 times a cast, every cast, you know?
And that's changed the game somewhat. That second Tyrant you were talking about, the first one was really relevant in stabilizing. The second one is now relevant in pressing home that advantage.
Okay, well, BigBen is going to have to play one of these Bone Mares.
It's just Bone Mare every time this turn, isn't it?
Next turn, it doesn't feel great, but you can even Elven Minstrel to Vile Spine, just putting a 3/2, or use the Flame Elemental. But it looks like HelloLeeroy should be able to stabilize from this position.
A minion could stick this turn from BigBen's side, in which case he can follow up with the second Bone Mare next turn, push more damage, and then later on finish the game with Leeroy. Even Leeroy Valspine on turn 10 is a possibility.
It looks like currently the only way to actually clear everything is so he can either UI and just forget about the cards, because burning cards is basically irrelevant.
Yep.
Or he can go with Branching Pass for attack while playing some other stuff as well. I don't really mind either. The Branching Pass turn, you can also play double Jade Idol just for 6/6 and a 7/7, which seems like pretty game winning to me.
Yes, looking pretty good.
Ooh.
This is the only deck we saw from you, right? Was your Jade Druid.
Yes,
You got something
yes, yeah.
fun for us lined up for your cold hands match if you get beyond 0 wins?
I don't know about fun, but
Something for us to get our teeth into as tough. Okay, don't say. I'm pushing too hard. I don't want to push you.
I don't remember my lineup at this point, honestly, but we'll figure it out later.
Sure, I'll take a look later.
Well, Bone Mare number 1 survived, and Bone Mare number 2 could come down. The problem is it doesn't do that much.
It doesn't do that much, but it's quite necessary. And before, I don't know what I was talking about when I said 6/6 and 7/7 Jade. That's a 3/3 and 4/4. That's still quite good for 2 mana.
Bit preemptive there.
But you know what is good as your second one that's better than 2 Bone Mares? It's 2 Ultimate Infestations. And this second one is going to put Leeroy in a fantastic position. Not that he's not already in a fantastic position, but this should be enough to really just finish this one off.
Oh, he's taking his time with it.
I like it. I like this Leeroy that takes his time. The Leeroy that plays quick and impulsively is the Leeroy that makes terrible mistakes.
For that one person in Twitch chat that is probably asking right now, no, you cannot play Fandral with Branching Paths. It doesn't do anything.
Choose 2.
Choose
twice.
2 and choose
all of them.
Choose 2 and choose 1 are different keywords.
Wait till we get Fandrel's mom in the next set. Choose 2.
Fandral's mom.
All your choose 2 effects.
All of your
Sent to bed with no dinner.
You can have your cake and eat it as well.
Yeah, exactly that.
There we go. Okay, this is all right for HelloLeeroy. If he didn't have the if he didn't have the taunt, then he would be dead to Leeroy. It's so weird talking about Leeroy when the player is also named Leeroy.
Yeah, it's making it a little bit awkward. And that's the card you don't want. This is like the equivalent of the old Innovate. You pick on Keleseth on turn 12, and you're like, why?
And this is why Keleseth is not quite reverse patches, because there does come a point where you don't actually want to draw it.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Without the second Ultimate Infestation, I could have definitely seen this game with Ben potentially outvaluing just HelloLeeroy. Because with the Vile Spine and all of the other things, even like a Leeroy trading into something, it seems like potentially he could have gotten there. But yeah, definitely have to fight for board, because otherwise you're dead.
Yeah, and as has been said several times already by you guys, this Ultimate Infestation pretty much seals the deal.
So that looks like one-off lethal for HelloLeeroy. I'm guessing he doesn't run Moonfire. So continuing to fight for board is a sure way of winning.
Yeah, you're just not going to die. I guess he has got to... Oh, he gets the 5 armor, he'll be fine. And again, I like the fact that Leeroy is taking his time on turns. It's a new Leeroy. Because he is a methodical thinker. When you speak to him, he has good ideas, but he does take a while to work them out. And yet when he plays, sometimes he plays lightning fast.
Well, this also speaks to his good preparation as well. Like, he can take all week long to prepare, but when he's on stage, maybe he feels the need to act a little bit quicker. Not today, by the looks of things.
Okay, so that looks like it's going to be about it. Alvin Mitchell can pick up a South Sea deckhand, or a team game.
Or both.
But yeah, or both. But the double swipe looks like it's going to be
almost
sealing it. Yeah, almost there.
You got your one.
Okay. So I don't see anything here. Looks like we're probably going to be moving on soon to...
Does look that way. So
game number 2.
Obviously, you're a character we see quite a lot on our screens these days. When you're out there playing, is it hard to get out of your head? It's like, oh, today I'm the player. Today I'm not the flamboyant one that everyone wants to see. I'm actually playing. I'm playing seriously. Is it hard to sort of not wave at the camera and still be messing around and having fun?
I think it is quite difficult just because they're like 2 entirely different modes.
Right.
One is just like casual, kind of in your underwear mentally mode, and then the other one you have your tie on and got like makeup on and stuff like that, you know.
Which mode are you in right now? Underwear?
I'm in both, yeah.
That's what we want.
You're in the underwear, but you've got makeup on as well. All right,
yes,
that's
good.
good.
There you go.
Leeroy takes game number 1 of the series. Pretty nice start from him.
I'm really invested into something. I kind of take my work home. You know what I mean? So when something outrageous happens, it's like the 2% chance of their top deck, and like
that's pretty outrageous.
Yeah, like that. That if I'm not playing with friends, that makes me turn off Hearthstone like during the game. You know what I mean? Close it. Forget that we played today. Start again tomorrow. But Ben's deck is kind of built to snowball. So double Corridor Creeper is, I think it's auto keep in any deck with Corridor Creeper.
Yeah.
But going second helps as well, and...
yeah, I was about to ask which of these 2 incredible hands you prefer. Saying was actually that sick, but the captain just ended that glimmer of debate.
Yes. Unless Patches comes off the top, but we don't talk about that here.
It's actually so interesting how good both of these
wow.
are. There is the Patches off the top.
Somebody get Dempsey out of here.
Caster's Curse.
One series too late, Leeroy. You should have done it last time.
And there is the aforementioned Patches.
It can't be overstated just how strong this double Corridor Creeper is going to be. Galactic Crawler picked up in the hand as well, going to gobble up one of his pirates next turn. This is looking very good if you're sat in Ben's seat right now.
And again, Ben showing the changes in his tempo play, not worrying about will the Rogue dagger. He knows the Rogue's not daggering anytime soon, most likely.
Yep.
He's going to get the value on the board, get the stuff on the board, and start doing damage.
And hey, even if the Rogue does dagger, so what? He deals with
exactly.
one of these 3 minions.
Oh man, those are definitely the 2 draws that you do not like to see. Leeroy going, hello Leeroy, I'm here. I'm home, father.
Yeah, I mean, he just went from having about the best possible hand to being in a bit of a spot.
About the worst Keleseth hand I've ever seen.
Right. And now he's got to deal with these Corridor Creepers.
Luckily, they both can't come down this turn, but, well, 3 mana 5/5 is still pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and it's coming down before potential Vile Spine as well, which is a really big deal. Get at least 5 of that damage in there, most likely 10 before the Vile Spine can do anything.
Oh,
There's
man.
that card you were talking about.
But it is a 5-4 right now.
If Leroy plays the captain and the elemental this turn, then Ben will have the potential to completely empty his current hand next turn, which is pretty crazy. Trading in the flame elemental, using the Galactic Crawler to gobble up the pirate, and then the Corridor Creeper's free.
And Rogue can't deal with wide boards. Not this sort of Rogue anyway. I wonder at what point Miracle Rogue comes back if this carries on to be the trend of people playing aggro everywhere.
I mean, Sap is not the worst or the best thing for Corridor Creeper, because it does go back to 7 mana, but then they probably have a board, but so they're probably trading it back. So Corridor Creeper is a card that still surprises me to this day, that it is so powerful. People thought it was going to be kind of like the Nerubian Prophet, right? Where it's like, okay, it's pretty good if it's your opening hand, and it's going to be dead later, but that has certainly not been the case.
Yeah, watching Ike on as this game just gets sadder for Leroy fans, but really good for Ben fans. Watching Ike, who had already realised how good this was in their playtesting for Trinity Series, do the set review where he just kept sort of mumbling, yes, it's quite good, pretending he hadn't worked it out already. It's really funny. That's on Amnesiac's review. He wasn't lying. He said, yeah, it's good, but he was like keeping so quiet, letting everyone else say how bad it was.
Yeah, that.
And there's an occasion. Yeah, it's quite good.
That's kind of the funny thing, because in Hearthstone, a lot of times, especially as a smaller name to get your name out there, you want to be like, hey, I'm the one who said this card was good. Or you can save it and then be like, oh, well, I won this tournament because,
I just won a tournament
because I played this.
Not only did I go 13-0 at a big event, but my friends won a tournament because I told them this card was good and I didn't actually give it up until afterwards.
DreamHack Master. Okay, well, yeah, again, the only really comeback mechanisms that the Tempo Rogue has is Vile Spine Slayer. So apart from that, you can't really deal with 5 attack things.
And this is the sort of blow that Leroy needs to actually cope with, because this looked to him in his opening hand like, okay, I'm 2-0 up. And now suddenly you're 1-all, and let's see if he has got that brand new mentality. Let's see if it's fixed in there nice and clear. Because this is the first game of Hearthstone he's lost today. 3-0 in the first round, now 1-0 up here. Losing every match to winning every game, so first time he's actually been tested mentally.
Well, this still looks like
Yeah, I think he's just going through the motions, making sure, because you don't want to concede and then realise you miscounted by 2 and something. Yeah.
All right, there we go. Okay. Just going through the motions, trying to place the Hearthstone.
Maths is hard, guys, especially when it's quick. It's like
quick maths.
It can be very difficult.
All right.
I love quick maths.
Players. Did you hear that? Was that just a voice in my head, or?
I think that was one of the characters.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think it's something to do with Hearthstone.
Okay, great. I'm just checking that I'm not completely going crazy.
Go on.
Based on the narrative, I really do like the idea of Leroy winning. You know, it's finally his chance to get through in the Prem. I like the narrative of Mysterious as well, just quietly getting in the finals all the time.
Quietly.
He got through very quietly. Said a well played once, and that was about it.
And that got squelched. So Priest versus Priest. Ben with the Lyra.
Your favorite matchup, right?
It's one of my favorite matchups right now. There's a lot of bits and pieces going on in this.
I mean, first turn already, that's a very controversial decision to not play the Northshire Cleric. A lot of players, me included, I like just playing it because it does prevent them to play their cycling cards and getting deeper into the deck.
The problem is he has no way of dealing if it's faced off, let's say, with an Acolyte of Pain. He has no way of killing the Acolyte of Pain. So playing the Northshire on 1 into pass Acolyte is actually dangerous. If you've got the Shadow Word Pain in your hand, then I think it's much more conducive to risking the Northshire on turn 1. So a lot goes into this turn 1 Northshire, yes, no, and a lot of it is about how do I feel my hand is.
Yes.
So which of these do you want an extra copy of?
Which one of these? I generally like the Circle of Healing, especially with both the Arcanine and the Northshire Cleric. But just in general, a 0-mana spell is quite good at basically every point in the game when you're if you're trying to heal up your guys, or if you're trying to draw cards or kill their stuff.
And that itself was a decision point. Like, you didn't have to play the card that turn, the Shadow Visions that turn. He could have just waited until he knew what he wanted. But as he didn't, he's had to take a guess.
Well,
but now he's in a good spot.
Yeah, I think the HelloLeeroy has one game plan in mind, and he knows exactly what he's going to be doing turns 5 through turns 8.
One of these hands is not like the other.
So his plan now is to make sure he gets Velen, because that's the only thing that can go. Well, Velen and possibly Priest of the Feast in case your opponent matches what you're doing. They're the two cards you're looking for now, I feel. And of course, the other sort of, I don't know, the backup plans, you want the Mind Blast, all that sort of stuff. But basically, obviously, everybody knows it. He's in a great position because he's got the combo and Ben has not.
This is also one of my favorite matchups when both players don't draw the nuts.
Yes.
Or when, yeah, so when it's kind of weird and neither player has like the other combo piece kind of thing and you're battling off trying to survive until then. That's really cool. This game though, I will be very hard pressed to see Ben win this. So this Kha'Zix Potion, he did get draw 2. He is going to have to find some of the combo pieces and then find the other one later.
Yeah, and he also, one thing you can do if you're behind in the matchup, which he doesn't know yet, that's the problem for Ben, but one thing you can do if you're behind is try and get a little bit of pressure and try and make your opponent at least burn some of those cards up so they can't kill you quite as quickly when they combo, but really you are struggling and you're just trying to buy one turn.
So the draw 2 will put Ben at 9 cards, so he should be fine. Doesn't risk any sort of overdrawing here. The problem with the 5-mana Kha'Zix Potion, draw 2, is that you really want to play it like.
Is he going to North Shy this for a million cards? That's another option.
Yeah, the Circle of Healing as well. Maybe he thinks that he can basically play the Kha'Zix Potion whenever he wants when there isn't always a chance of a board.
Yeah. So he is going to go for the million cards. This turn always takes forever because you have to count like several times that you're not going to overdraw. It's so easily done.
He goes to 9 here, and then he can Hero Power again to go. He goes to 8 here, then he Hero Power after the Pyromancer goes off to go to 9 cards.
That's where he's at.
Such a nice combo.
The problem is that the Northshire Cleric is still there,
right.
So it's kind of scary. Does he go with the Shadow Word Pain here out of fear?
If he doesn't, Leeroy has his own Circle of Healing, and Ben is going to be forced to overdraw a load.
Yay.
I mean, statistically, it's not very likely for the DK to be overburnt, assuming that it's only like a few cards overdrawn, but with a Circle of Healing of his own, yeah.
This is a scary position for Ben to be in.
Because he's drawing 1 card next turn anyway, so Leeroy is giving him absolutely nothing. He's just got a free chance of winning the game on the spot. I mean, he's winning the game anyway. He needs to factor in how much do I actually care, but you care.
Leeroy's got several chances to win the game on the spot. Actually, he's got Spirit Lash as well, so he could heal, then Spirit Lash, then Circle if he wanted to. Obviously, plan A is just play Raza and heal up, and that's fine. He could still go with that. He can still burn 1 card, and actually burn more because he can still play the Circle. But if he really wants to go all in, he does have the ability to.
Okay, he's going to go for it. He's going to go for it here. Too bad he doesn't have another minion to also couple the Spirit Lash with. But if he Spirit Lashes now, then he can get one extra
burn.
Yeah, one extra burn.
You can always just Hero Power after this.
Yes.
My hand is full.
Oh, there's his own Circle of Healing.
Okay, there's
Okay, well that was that then.
All right, Ben can concede. Let's move on.
So
I'm joking, but
he doesn't concede just yet, but as soon as Leeroy plays his own combo,
Oh, look happy. That is opposite of happy. Leeroy's talking to himself. He's like, okay. Focus. I burned the Death Knight, but the game's not over yet.
And it really is not, because first of all, your opponent might be able to burn their Death Knight somehow. Secondly, they might not have it. And thirdly, you can 1 in a million chance just beat them down with the minions. He's got a lot of minions in hand. That's how he's got Lyra. We've seen comebacks with Lyra.
I have never seen this matchup where both Death Knights have been burned. That would be hilarious.
Lyra into Mind Vision, into get your opponent's hand. Do that. Actually, that's the right line.
Like a plan.
I'm happy with that line.
And the thing is that if Leeroy did not burn the Death Knight there, even though he was roping, I think he had enough time to go Spirit Lash and Circle again for an extra 6 cards burnt, because 1 would burn on the draw step as well. So, okay, it looks like he's going to go for it, 10 cards, but as we know, they're both already in his hand.
Oh, Velen isn't, though.
Oh, and that was what Leeroy, I was going to say at the time, if Leeroy did overdraw, Velen is the 1 card that could be an accident.
Oh my.
I think it should be fine, though.
I mean, he really should be fine, but looking for anything at all here for Ben, the Lyra into Mind Vision is, I think, the best out.
Yeah, Ben needs a good Lyra turn, and he needs it as soon as possible, which also means he kind of needs to empty his hand a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe there's some sort of win condition with Lyra, as you guys said. So maybe some sort of Divine Spirit Inner Fire shenanigans with the Radiant Elemental there. I think if he wants to go with that, he wants to wait until he has about 10 mana or until like the very last moment to go for it. So he has the maximum spells to
craziness.
He might just not take the cleric here because his hand is so full.
Never go full North Shore. He's already tried that.
Well, I was wondering if maybe he just whiffs it on purpose.
Yeah. I thought he might do as well.
I like that as well, yeah.
I hope you like my invention.
Okay.
So he's got everything except Anduin. It might take a while to get that as it's not in his deck anymore.
When there's a will, there's a way.
Did he play as Glimmerroot? Oh, sorry, the Glimmerroot's right there, yeah.
So that was another chance.
That's what I mean. Like he.
So that was the last hope right there.
Right.
Okay. Is there any way to get...
Yeah, next turn for Ben is Radiant Elemental, Lyra, Shadow Vision's Binding Heal, and hope for a Mind Vision as
that's just so grim.
Mind Vision, another Glimmerroot.
Yeah.
And then he has to actually get the card with the Mind Vision.
And then he has to play it for 8 mana when Leeroy is going to play it on turn 8.
What is ridiculous about this deck is there is always something you can construct where it can come back.
Yeah, the chances are not zero.
Yeah, and it does happen. Like they're really not zero. They're properly non-zero. Although it's going to be pretty.
Neil, can you give us the stats on that, please?
Hang on a minute. Let me just calculate it.
Quick maths.
Obviously, the problem here is that Leeroy has so many cards as well. So even if for some reason Ben gets back into it, it's going to take him time to get into the position where he's into it, and Leeroy is just going to be shooting him down. Of course, it's just an exercise in thought here, really.
What
Can we find any ways out?
I mean, it was a very big risk for Ben to leave that North Shore Cleric there, but also at the same time, we saw that Leeroy had a pretty good turn with just the Raza. So I wouldn't have been quite surprised to see Leeroy not even have milled Ben there. But was it a necessary risk? I don't think so. I think that's something that you just have to play around just because that's the first way that you lose, is just losing your card.
It looks pretty much like game over to me as soon as that Anduin comes down, though. At that point, Ben will know that he has no way of actually playing his win condition.
Yeah, I'm desperately trying to think if there's any way that he can get some sort of other live stuff. Like you guys have said, it's the combo really that's the divine.
Could he get himself in the position where Velen Mind Blast Holy Smite is lethal? It's only 14 damage, so he'd need to do quite a bit of damage before that.
That's the problem. He hasn't really had the chunky minions to establish himself on board. I mean, in theory, yes, but actually, when we look at the hands, that's not going to happen either.
No.
I really like Ben's decision here to play the Cleric, because if he's expecting the Death Knight, then he is going to need some sort of target for the Inner Fire Divine Spirit shenanigans. So he has to have 2 minions because the 5/5 will kill one of them, leaving the other.
Yep.
But the max damage he can do, I guess, is just double Divine Spirit, because after playing Radiant and Lyra, he will only have 9 mana, or sorry, he will only have 2 mana left over, so that's double Divine Spirit.
Insult to injury here, I know, but could Leeroy play the Gnomish Inventor, the Spirit Lash, and the Circle of Healing just to burn more of Ben's card? Is there actually any benefit to doing that?
I don't know, but I would love to see that.
I mean, if you get rid of the Velen as well, then
that's true.
Or the Lyra,
That's
we can see they're in hand, but if you get rid of those cards, then it's even more safe. But I think you just start trying to win the game now.
Also, if Ben just runs out of cards, that only works in Leeroy's favor.
And this is actually interesting to me, because this is a sort of a Leeroy thing to overthink a little bit. This is just the indication that the Leeroy we've been talking about all day. It's like, just play your Anduin and kill your opponent. He knows what he's playing around, but...
Wow.
I am surprised.
I am very surprised as well.
Arcanine rather than the Death Knight.
I mean, losing probably begins with denying yourself the ability to heal.
Yep.
It's probably a good way where you put yourself into a spot. All right, Ben's going for it. Can he get that Mind Vision?
He's got quite a few chances.
Which would be like the ultimate punish if it should come off.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's not going to help. What was that? One more chance.
Oh, and another?
Another chance, yeah.
Another chance?
Another chance. Mind Vision will cost 0 mana.
Oh, no!
Can he get it?
No.
1 in 9.
Do not get the Death Knight.
Oh, and that would have been entirely Leroy's own fault if it had
Yes.
happened.
Yeah.
I do not know why instinctively I was rooting for Leroy there, but I just wanted to see that there is some justice in this world, that randomly generated cards cannot win you the game out of nowhere.
If your opponent doesn't put the card on the board, it's open for mind vision. I was the opposite way. I'd have thought it was justice.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm with Lorinda there as well.
everyone has their own sense of justice. You know?
that's how things go wrong.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so Lyra's still here, but I assume the sorry. Yeah, so I assume the Lyra is going to be gone. I assume it is going to be gone.
Well, how does it actually die? Like, Psychic Scream shuffles it back into the deck with Radiant Elemental.
There's still a chance.
So Ben actually gets another chance later, but Anduin will have been played by then.
We'll see.
Well, hopefully.
We'll see.
Has Leroy forgotten it's in his hand?
What is his mind games here? So
Okay.
I've drawn quite enough cards this game, thank you.
I was surprised that he didn't play the 5-mana draw 2, the Kazakus potion here, because it's just like the biggest burst draw. And then if you get, I don't know, basically you want to find Lyra again as soon as possible. And Radiant Elemental as well. Okay, well, do you want to cycle another card?
I mean, you're trying to find your Lyra as quickly as possible, but you need to keep hold of some cheap stuff to use with it.
Yes, exactly. The Divine Spirit. Oh, there's Lyra. He has a Divine Spirit in his hand. Is there any way that if he top decks the Radiant Elemental off the top, then with the Divine Spirit he could get there?
It's definitely possible.
I don't know why this game with the Death Knight already burned is so stressful.
It's because Leroy thinks too hard sometimes. Like, this has been his problem in stage games in the past.
Okay, the Echoet's dying. And burning 2 more cards.
My hand is full. My hand is full.
Ben hasn't got enough cheap stuff to go with this, I don't think, this time, without that Radiant.
And Radiant, even if it sticks, it's getting silenced.
Leroy's trying to wake himself up. He knows he should have won this game about 400 turns ago.
What's pretty amusing to me when watching this is that we have the live audience down to our right side, we have the players on our left side.
Yeah.
Because the players are watching on the stream, which has a 15-second
Yeah.
delay, all of their reactions are just a little bit late.
Yeah, it's really funny to hear the oohs and the ahs like twice.
Wish to live forever.
Okay.
Shut up, Lyra.
So it looks like 17 plus 2, so 19 damage here for Leroy, I believe.
Could you just silence that thing and go home, please, Leroy?
Well, because of Velen's gone, it will be kind of hard for him to deal all the damage at once. Ben does have some sustain in his hand in the form of Holy Fire and Holy Nova. As minimal as that sounds, it is something.
With Lyra gone, I can now happily give up this game. I don't think I've seen any crazy comebacks that didn't involve Lyra, unless it involved the other player shooting all the minions, which you did see at one event, and maybe that's going to happen here.
4 cards left in Big Ben's deck, as we saw just then, and there's no way Leroy has drawn anywhere near that many cards, so even fatigue is not going in Ben's favor.
There's also the disconnect out, or the meteor
Not anymore.
coming through the ceiling out.
Meteor
Oh,
through
really?
the ceiling. Yeah, the disconnect now actually pauses the game.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
even that. Even a
Even-
disconnect.
So it's meteors or nothing.
Please no meteor.
There's Lyra. Lyra's back, Neil. We're back in the driving seat. But no spells.
Holy. This game is not good for my heart. Ah. Okay. Well, the cleric's back. He can go ahead and do it again.
Circle.
Yeah, Pyromancer Shield Circle. Pyromancer Shield Gnomish Circle.
Here we go again. We've seen this before.
Is this real life?
Is this just fantasy?
I've never seen a game like this.
You can do it, chat. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Well played.
Draw some cards.
The awkward thing here is, does Ben just should, I mean, okay, he only had 2 cards left, but I was thinking maybe he should concede to not show like a random tech card here that can give him some percentages later down
Fair
in the
enough,
matchup.
yeah.
But yeah, 2 cards, you know.
He's
just-
playing 9 Lyras.
He wishes.
He's drawn probably about 20 cards, like non-natural cards
Yeah, what a mess.
for himself, and then Leroy has drawn about like 40 cards for him.
What's been weird about this game is I spent the whole game in Priest Mirrors counting up who has lethal next turn. I haven't looked once in this game. It's just not been relevant how much damage anybody had.
I said at the start of this game, Lorinda, that this is one of your favorite matchups in Hearthstone. Have you ever seen a Rizaka's Priest Mirror go quite like this one?
I've seen 2 crazy Rizaka Priest Mirrors. The one that Coach Twisted famously didn't win.
DreamHack Montreal.
DreamHack Montreal, and one between Monsanto and Luca, where both of them had both parts of the combo in the bottom 6 or 7 cards. And actually, one of the players ran out of damage. The player who got the combo down first got it down on turn 1,000,000, and actually ran out of damage because the other player managed to run them out of damage. Luca, who I believe has been doing some work with Toast Monster here, actually.
Right.
He basically realised that even though he didn't get the combo down first, he could make Monsanto have to deal with his cards, which use up enough spells that Monsanto couldn't ever kill him and fatigues to death. So this was in the top 3 crazy Priest matchups.
But Leroy eventually does get that.
I think the Warlock ban as well is something that's come through quite recently, because Warlock is not really considered as best class on ladder just
Right.
because there's so many Raza priests. But in a tournament, when you can kind of target a deck, you can kind of soft target Raza priest. Banning the Warlock is quite nice.
The funny thing was, like, Seed Story Cup was one of the first big events of this expansion, and everyone started in that tournament by banning Priest. And then the more into the tournament we got, the more the Warlock, and it was a lot of the time it was Cube Lock at the
They're
time,
evolving.
the more that got banned. It was quite funny to see the evolution.
Yeah, obviously you were building the lineup for this. Did you try and find ways to ban the Priest? Did you have a long look
Yeah.
at, look, we don't want to let Priest up?
Exactly, because the thing is that Priest still has the highest win rate on ladder, I believe. And I still think it's the most powerful deck. It's the deck that I've had most success with over the last 2 seasons. And definitely that's the first thing you look at. But then you look at all of the different types of Warlocks and just how good Control Warlock is at dealing with your stuff, that you would rather kind of soft target the Priest. And that's why I was quite surprised when Leroy brought not Dragon Priest with the Inner Fires,
Right.
but instead the Raza Priest. So he's willing to have a 50-50 matchup, even with a Warlock ban.
Yeah, I thought we would see a few Silence Priests, and we haven't as of yet, although I'm sure we will at some point, because we've still not seen a lot of these Priest decks.
Worth noting here that Edwin in Big Ben's hand actually came from Swashbuckler, so you will
Ooh.
have 2 of them this game.
Okay.
Wow. And these hands look pretty balanced, apart from the 2 versus 1 in the
Corridor
creeper
Creeper
department.
department, yeah.
Actually, yeah, Edwin is just like a nerfed quarter creeper these days, right? It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, why do you have to play Edwin for 3 mana and all these other spells when you just play quarter creeper for 0 mana?
Yeah, and nobody wants it to be retired to the Hall of Fame anymore, because it's just not good enough.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, you look at Jackknight Operative, right? 5 mana, 5/6, draws your card. Wow, that's crazily powerful, well
Yeah.
statted. And then you look at quarter creeper. It's almost the same stats for 0 mana usually.
The crazy thing, obviously, with Edwin is the occasional, like, 10-10 on turn 2 or
Sure.
3, sort of playing a few counterfeit coins, which is a card that I think we'll see more of going forward. I mean, at the moment, no one's really experimenting with Miracle and so on, but it's definitely a deck that is going to constantly be going back to and say, is this good enough yet? Is it not?
I think that this meta specifically has been a little bit healthier than the beginning of the last meta, just because now, in the same time as the last meta, things are pretty figured out already, but with the card pool that we have, since we have so many more cards, there's still a lot to be figured out, old decks to revisit once again.
And again, I was saying earlier, I think you were down there at the time, but with Worlds coming up, anyone who discovers something incredibly good right now is just not going to reveal it, because they will know somebody almost certainly to give it to.
This looks like an Edwin turn to me.
It really does.
Looks like an Edwin turn to Ben as well, by the looks of things.
Budget quarter creeper. I mean, it's a big boy. It's a big boy.
If you're going to make a gigantic Edwin, it is the best time to do it either after you've seen both Vile Spines or before they can actually play one, right?
Yeah.
Get that 10 damage in there.
10-10 is not too shabby at all, especially as a card that came from Swashbuckler.
Okay.
That was just a little bit late there.
So it looks like Leroy will have to pick up the Vile Spine next turn. He could try to draw cards with the Elven Minstrel, but the problem is that he will no longer have the Backstab as an activator for Vile Spine.
Might pick up a Firefly, though.
Yeah, yeah, but then that's a turn after, right? And then at that point, you're on
Dead.
like 2 life.
Oh, yeah, of course. He's only got 4 mana.
So he may feel that he has to keep this as an activator, even though he really, really doesn't want to.
And I think you go for that as well.
Yeah, you're right.
The problem is that the rest of your
What
turn
do you
is
do?
pretty bad as well. You like, don't have a nice turn at all.
Patches hasn't come out yet, has it? For Leroy? I don't believe it
No,
has.
I do not believe it has either.
So Captain, Patches.
Oh wait, sorry. He plays Swash on turn 1, right?
No, Ben
Ben did.
plays it.
Bended. Oh, okay.
So yeah, it is this conundrum of whether you want to try and draw it or decide that you've got to just hope. And he's just going to hope.
This is fine because the Captain lives unless the Edwin is trading into it, in which case it saved Leroy 10 health.
Also, you're pulling a card from your deck, making the Vile Spine a little bit more likely.
Yep. Might as well have those extra bits because that's all he's got right now.
So Ben could go with the trade here, as non-smorky as that is, but it allows him to drop double Corridor Creeper.
I like the fact if you hit them in the face now, they just have to kill it next turn. They have to have exactly backstab Vilespine, basically, or a combination of hitting your stuff with loads of different weirdness, which isn't even in the deck.
Ooh. I guess the biggest thing you're worried about as Ben is a Corridor Creeper coming down for 0 mana along with a Vile Spine.
That's true.
So I actually don't mind this. It's a quite wimpy play, but also he's playing around Betrayal as an arena player, an ex-arena player.
Sure. He's still putting up 20 on the board, which is the same as the 210s he would have done the other way. So
The Firefly.
yeah, this is fine actually.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, well, Ben knows that there's no
Ben.
possibility that the Creeper does come down for 0 mana with the Vilespine, because even if he hadn't been keeping track, his own Corridor Creepers don't cost 0 mana yet. They just both cost 2.
Right. It's a good point.
And they've been in the hand since turn 1.
Okay, I'm trying to find the out here.
Yeah, it's all gone quiet while we're sitting there going, how do you actually get out of this? Which means this was the right play.
Yeah, because the problem is that even now, if you get the Vile Spine, it's a little bit too late. You can't kill multiple things in a single turn. So you're gonna have to contest some of these 5/5s now somehow, and then hope for the Vile Spine next turn, and maybe stabilize with around, I don't know, maybe like less than 10 health if Ben makes a few trades. Okay.
It's on the wrong side, in the wrong hand.
With great power comes great responsibility. Power in the wrong hands can be devastating. Okay.
Are they cold hands though? We'll find out later. You're playing him, aren't you, next?
Yes, yeah, I am playing cold hands. Yeah. But my hands are quite warm, so hopefully that's a good sign.
Warm hands versus cold hands.
Oh yeah. But you don't want to know why my hands are warm.
I don't.
It's because I'm warm-blooded. I'm human too, Lorinda.
2?
Sometimes.
You mean 2? Okay.
There's a Vile Spine that Leroy was working so hard for. I think he did play this kind of the way he had to. Yeah, so backstab trade. He is going to have to take 2 to his face. He can't really survive this. Yeah, there's no way to survive this. So the best he can do is go to 4, and then Big Ben will have 7 damage available to with the 1/2, the dagger, and the 5/5.
Yeah, this is just too awkward for him. He's just making sure, he just made sure for an entire game, every single turn, that he couldn't lose. So a game where he's actually still alive for 1 turn, he's going to give it a go. But it is looking like it's going to go to 2-2, and we're going to see Leroy with Rogue and Ben with Priest, and Ben suddenly favourite for this. He was 2-1 down against Cold Hands in the first round. He's 2-1 down again and got it back to level. Can he do another comeback?
Not that much more work to do.
Yeah, we saw Boar could not keep up with a double KLSS start against Rogue in his match against Mysterious earlier. But obviously if you haven't got the KLSS start, you can pick off those 5/5s one at a time, Psychic Scream some. But it is important to get that good draw.
But previously, yes. Previously, I believe it was very, very favored
Right, I
for
agree.
Kazoo's Priest.
I mean, Psychic Scream has helped the Priest a little as
Yes,
well,
it has.
so... it's going to be all down to the potion for Ben, though, unless his hand picks up quickly.
Nice early game minions here for Ben, is he really going to save the Radiant Elemental
you
here?
like my
Okay, so
invention?
for me here, I kind of like contesting the board a little bit more. I don't mind the Coin SI7 agent as much because they don't always have it. So, but I guess he is going to maybe drop them both in the same turn. Maybe make Leeroy try to deal with them both at once.
It is important as the rogue to be patient in this matchup. If you go flat out and try and just wipe the priest out, sure, you'll get away with it sometimes, but you will lose your stuff to AoE more times than you get away with it.
Really? Okay.
I think I'd like to have seen the North Shot play there and just take the chance, but
I think I like seeing both of them play there and just
yeah.
yeah, just curve out your hand. Try to find a value potion off of Raza, and then go from there.
Ben just going to take this one real slow. He does have Kazakus on 4. That probably allows him to clear the board on turn 5. If not, he's still got Raza to curve into. Galactic Crawler's not a bad card at all.
Not a bad card.
Not a bad card.
Well,
Dan, the understatement.
Slight understatement. All right.
This is everyone's favorite neighborhood Galactic Crawler, coming by for a cup of sugar and an egg.
And sink your shit.
Yeah.
And your wife, yeah, just.
And the Radiant Elemental comes down as well now. So Ben's decided now it's time to start to contest this board. Next turn he can curve into the Raza and heal up one of the minions that takes damage. It works out.
Yeah, because previously without Galactic Crawler, I think that his line was play Kazakus, really bank on an AoE potion. If they drop, if they coined out a Cobalt Scalebane, then you have to get the AoE potion with the damage as well, and then you're also losing value then. So I think that was a really big gamble, but he doesn't seem to be in the most horrible spot. He has
That's the problem with the priest. You're just never in a horrible spot. Even the bad spots, you can sometimes escape from. So this is the key turn for Leeroy. We've talked all day about setting up your bone mares, but this is way in advance of Anduin. If he coins it out on 6, for instance. So this is a chance for Leeroy to maybe generate some pressure. He does have to worry about Dragonfire, though.
Backstab with the Cobalt Scalebane seems quite nice. Wow, is he really going to go for the backstab on this one? Okay, so he's quite scared of just maybe Lyra things, Priest things, but if he just killed the Raza, potentially he just has everything contested with his Scalebane being uncontested. Okay, well.
He's chosen to go with this because this does both contest the Raza. It's sort of gone the other way. It contests the Raza with both of his contested, but he has 2 things going on. This does play around the Dragonfire potion as well.
What these illusions will.
I mean, he can play Dragonfire potion, but it'd be awful.
Yeah.
Wow, go ahead and hit a Lyra, okay.
So he's going to go and look for the value trade here. If he doesn't find anything, then he still has a free heal with the Northshire Cleric. Free heal with the Northshire Cleric. This is quite good. This coin Bone Mare is going to have to take a trade on that Lyra. BigBen is not nearly low enough for HelloLeeroy to just be going face with the 9 damage.
Yeah, this is Ben's payoff for his turn 1 non-Northshire, turn 2 non-Northshire, is that he has managed to get at least 1 card from it.
I feel like it only worked out just because Leroy's hand was a lot more mid-range rather than very aggressive. He could have easily gotten punished, especially without the Crawler, without finding the Kazakus, AoE potion.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. Just pointing out that it did actually work out for him, so the path that he chose.
It's not all bad for Ben. As you said, he still has 23 health. He's still in with a shot. He's still got that Kazakus.
Yeah, that's the big deal right now. Pyromancer's effect sort of much better earlier in the game than right now.
Mass Dispel's not bad either, though.
It is not bad.
Not necessarily for this turn, but after a Bone Mare, after a Lich King, if he has no way of removing the cards, at least he can get rid of the effects and get rid of the buffs.
Ben really does have to walk a tightrope here because once that Lich King comes down, even though everything's pretty okay now, that Lich King is going to have to be dealt with, and I think the Master Spell is probably not enough. You're going to actually have to remove it from the board, either picking up the Death Knight or Shadow or Death from the Shadow Visions. Otherwise, this Kazakus potion is going to have to go the distance, I think. So,
It's just a just a 1-mana Kazakus potion play, isn't it?
I mean, he could also go for the 5, then just play it next turn. Maybe play the Pyro this turn. You are taking 11 damage, though. It's not great.
I think also you can possibly, you can't take 11, but you can trust that he
play
won't play Bone Mare into this board because of the chance of Anduin.
And I've actually just seen the Tar Creeper as well, so maybe Tar Creeper is a little bit better there. Summon 2. So if he plays the Tar Creeper now, the Summon 2 is going to get a little bit better. Ooh, so he doesn't like the heal on the Scalebane to just draw a card. I think at this point you're just looking for the Death Knight.
I feel I agree. He's got Psychic Scream as well as second prize if he hits it, so I feel that was a turn where he should end up drawing some cards, but going for the potion obviously makes sense as well. Did he go for 5, right?
Yeah, he went for 5. I believe it's Resurrect and 5 damage.
So what does Leeroy do this turn? If he's playing around Anduin, then he's not necessarily going to want to drop the Bone Mare or the Lich King, but that just leaves Prince Kalaseth.
I mean, he can Bone Mare and Shadow Step the Bone Mare.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm not saying that's the right play, but that's definitely an opportunity that's
interesting,
on the
though.
table there to defend his board to some extent while still making some more threats. It looks like that probably gets picked off by the board, though, in fairness.
Yeah, so then maybe your only real option is to coin out Lich King and just pray. Okay, so he is going to hedge for a little bit more. He believes that if Lich King is, or sorry, if the Death Knight is there, then the Death Knight is going to be coming down this turn. And that is not it. So is this a heal Scalebane now turn? I guess he potentially missed the heal from last turn.
I wonder, when Ben healed his own face last turn, if he told Leeroy he hadn't got Anduin. He could have healed the Scalebane if he had Anduin in hand.
Yeah, true.
So I wonder if Leeroy picked up on that.
But then wouldn't healing the Scalebane also help him fish for Anduin? It's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
What I'm saying, if he had the Anduin, he almost certainly doesn't care about healing his opponent's minion because he's going to kill it next turn for sure. So I wonder if Leeroy picked up on that and said, you know what, I can go for this
Maybe.
play.
That's an interesting read. I'm not completely sure about that. Like, you could just make the argument he's trying to conserve his health total.
Sure, yeah, that's definitely a case
Oh
as well.
my goodness. That's actually a full clear with the Pyromancer. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's nice.
That is insane. So at this point, he's worried about Leeroy's Shadow Step, but that's not nearly enough damage yet. I think at this point, I would still just take a card. Just take a card.
Heal up the Lyra, why not? It's sticking around, and Leeroy can't necessarily deal with it. Okay.
Another thing, though, is that you actually do activate the second backstab. So maybe there was like some way to actually just not heal anything.
The Dragonfire Potion is a big deal here. It means he's finally got some reliable AoE rather than all the scrapping about he's had to do. And as we can see, Leeroy's almost out of stuff, but Lich King can soon change that around.
Oh, and he can't deal with his Lyra, so it's going to be one of those games where you play Lich King, you're going to have to hope for... What card do you really want here?
The one that summons all the minions from your deck.
So like Army of the Damned?
Yeah.
But the minions aren't even... so I guess you can go Kalaseth and then Army of the Damned?
Yeah, I don't know when you play it. You wait on for it for a while, but...
Death and Decay is not so bad.
Yeah, that's fine as well in this situation, honestly. Although these guys are not going to be there next turn.
True.
Or they weren't going to be. They might now.
Okay. Well, it looks like Ben has all the tools he needs to win this game.
Start with the Shadow Visions, get 2 spells from this, and a lot more options.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't mind. So does he...
Does that answer your question?
And now he just starts hitting face, I guess.
Does he heal first or no? Okay.
Ah, this is good. I like this.
Okay.
Important thing that Ben's doing there is he's using the cards from Lyra actually as cards rather than just as cycles. Too many people just go, I have this card, I'm going to cycle it because I can.
Yep.
But he's actually using those cards effectively there, like the silence on the Pyro, for instance. Just making sure he's using the cards for a purpose.
Let's find out if he's going to play around Death and Decay. I guess the real way of playing around Death and Decay would be healing up the Lyra with the hero power and buffing up one of the other minions with the Talon Priest. But this is still fine. Lyra survives. That's the main thing.
Yep. And also, I think I like Healing Face as well, though I don't think there's any like realistic combination of cards that gets him out of it.
That deals
Could
with
possibly
Lyra.
do you over 2 turns with SI7s and Shadow Steps and Leeroys, maybe. Ben will be happy to be in a position where he can win without Anduin, I reckon.
Priest of the Feast, Massive Spell and Heal does gain him quite a bit of line.
Well, now Death and Decay plus SI7 Agent plus the weapon will deal with everything except the Talon Priest.
So at this point, I think you still have to hold on to the Shadow Step, even though you would kind of like a card from the Swashbuckler, because Leeroy dealing damage to their face is still your most realistic win condition. Alternatively, I guess you needed to kill the Lyra, huh? To Shadow Step the SI7 to kill the Lyra.
Well, no, you just play the SS7, dagger up, and smack it.
But then are you worried about Velen Mind Blast? I guess you can't really be playing around that at this point.
The thing is, you
No,
know that
that's
Ben
true,
has a
you're right,
bunch
you're
of
right.
garbage in his hand, otherwise why hasn't Ben been playing it, so...
Sorry. So, well, Velen Mind Blast already kills him because he will be at 9
Yeah.
at the highest. So I guess you can play around Valanos Mind Blast.
He was trying to Shadow Step this. I don't know if he got it back down in time or not. I think he did. It flashed up a long
Well,
way before the rope.
He doesn't have
yeah.
the mana to replay. Oh, yeah, you can coin it, sorry. Yeah, okay, wow, look at that.
But now he doesn't have the Shadow Step and Leeroy. He only has the Leeroy, so these minions are going to have to get some serious work done. And Ben can just now Priest the Feast and get out of range.
Yep. And Ben also has a bunch of safety emergency buttons to just click on the Psychic Scream if he needs it, click on the Dragonfire Potion if he needs it. So I do like just healing out of range now.
Priest and Shield, start yourself off and then see what you can do from there.
Now, it is important to note that even though he has the Massive Spell and the Powered Shield, if he doesn't draw anything very impactful, then his hand's essentially all reactive. Okay.
I wonder which one is played in the Kalasub deck.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder which one's on the board right there.
Yeah, well, that helps too.
So it took me about 9 months to stop casting as if that was a Discover effect. And now everyone started playing Draconode Operative, and I'm going, oh, well, which one of those started in my opponent's deck? It looks like all 3 of them. I don't understand. It's like...
Okay, well, Massive Spell will be 3 damage off lethal. SI7, that will be 1 damage off lethal.
Yeah.
If only Valanos gave SI7 spell damage.
So with that in mind, do you just scream here, or do you...
I think I Massive Spell. Go for the Mind Blast. Otherwise, you have the Dragonfire Potion to trade with the Glimmer Root if you need to. And then you still have a 3/3 on the board. Okay, well. Really now. Okay. Really now. So,
Still going to be 1 off lethal.
Wow.
I guess you just go for it. What is Leeroy's max damage? So assuming that's Leeroy's Shadow Step in hand, he's already used 1 Shadow Step, so that's only...
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure about pinging away the SS7 agent there. Was it necessary? The ping to the face would have set up the SS7.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're sat in Ben's space and you're not sure, you've got a few seconds left, you kill the things on the board.
Yep, that's fair.
Okay, the most awkward thing about this is that this means that Ben is also better than me, right? Because Ben beat
So Ben's better than
HelloLeeroy.
Leeroy, Leeroy's better than you.
Yeah, so I'm like on the bottom of the UK food chain
Until you beat Cold Hands.
until I beat Cold Hands. But then that would only put me like maybe half a step up.
This is why we have double limb. You get a chance to just like crawl back up there, maybe reset the chain by winning it in the final.
Okay, well, SI7 agent is going to do it.
Like it does.
And Ben, with a little fist pump there, takes the series. Going through to tomorrow in the winner's bracket. What a great position to be in.
His second come from behind victory. 2-3-1, 3-2 from 2-1.
Both with Priest, right?
Yeah, oddly enough.
Well, Priest being one of the remaining decks.
And I always thought Rogues did it better, you know?